you can see it in practices, and then it's reinforced in the games. Does what you see in practice always carry over into games? Not always, but if over a period of time, your practices get better, eventually that is going to carry over into the games. But still, at the same time, you have to, you have to do everything in the game that you've actually worked on and done in practice, and that's easier said than done.
Have you seen the team respond since Monday in practice this week?
Hey, for the last 2 weeks, practices have been pretty good. Practices have been really good. Get a lot done, a lot of positive stuff, a lot of energy from guys, and so there isn't anything that I would even have to complain about in our practices. It just has to translate over to games, and these next however many games, there's not a lot of gimmies thrown into all of them, given the teams in our league that we're playing.
What can you say about South Florida?
They're hard to play against this year. I don't know. It's funny that I think they're a better team than they were last year, and they're certainly harder to prepare for than they were 2 years ago, when you knew their offense was going to one spot. You knew who was going to take most of their shots. You knew what it was geared to. And now this year they've spread it around a lot. They've got a really good mix. It took them a while to find themselves, because they added a lot of new players. But year in and year out, they're always one of the more difficult games to play because they're just so regimented. This is what we're going to do, and they just try to wear you down. It's like every play has 15 options to it, and you just got to chase them around. So it's a real challenge, especially when they have as many shooters as they have in the lineup at this point in time.
Did you watch the South Carolina tape?
Right.
What do you take from that maybe you didn't see? Or did you pretty much get everything out of watching it originally, or catch something on tape that you thought, okay, we can fix this, and moving forward to these last 6 games?
There isn't, generally speaking, there isn't anything that you see on film that's like so glaring that you would go, we've got no way to fix this, or I had no idea this was going to happen. So, when you watch a film, you're looking at, what happened to cause that start of the game. What was the difference between the start of the game and the second quarter? So, if we did all of a sudden during the break between the first and second quarter change our entire offensive philosophy? No, we pretty much got the exact same shots. They just, so there were some defensive breakdowns at the beginning of the second half that led to a lot of open threes, but they still have to make them, so there were some things that obviously that you would like to have back, that you would say, I wish we had done this better, I wish we had done that differently. But, when it's all said and done, I don't know anybody that's going to come in here, let's say, and beat us when we're number one in the country if they shoot 30% from the floor, whatever the case may be. So you can do everything right, and if the ball don't go in, you're going to lose. So we did a lot of things right, and the ball didn't go in, and you're not going to win. Sometimes it's as simple as that. I mean, going into the game, who would have thought that we would out-rebound them? But we did. Or that they would get 13 transition points when they're living off their transition. Or their second shots, which they're living off their second shots. So the things that we went into the game trying to accomplish, we did. But we also tried to make shots, and we did. So that's why I'm not gonna, yeah, there's some things that were just ugly looking, but they're all fixable. They're all fixable. I'm not worried about that part of it at all.
Your non-conference schedule next year is pretty filled up, but with your relationship with Jose going forward, would you like to keep USF on the schedule?
I know that there's been some talk between Neil, who does a lot of our scheduling, and their people. So they've been talking back and forth. But, a lot of things have to be ironed out because there's 20 conference games next year instead of 16. So that's 4 less non-conference games that we have. And we have a lot of commitments going forward. So when can that get cleared up? We'll see. But even beyond our relationship that we have with Jose, just a relationship that we have with about 5,000 of our fans that show up every time we play there. I'm sure I'm going to hear from them if we don't play down there. So we got to find a way to get at least one game in Florida on a regular basis, preferably during semester break, so I can go down there for 3 or 4 days. Not like this one where I'm down there for 24 hours. We get there at 5 and we leave at 5. It's a hell of a trip to Florida, right? It is what it is. It is what it is.
Liv was saying that you guys have been focusing a lot on defense stuff this week. I know you've, generally speaking, been pretty happy with how defense has been this season. What's kind of the next step forward, especially trying to fine-tune it by the tournament?
I think the big thing is being able to, against the really good teams, being able to sustain that for 40 minutes. If you look at the 3 games that we played that we lost, except for the Oregon game, both of those games were lost because our offense was really, really, really bad. The Oregon game was lost because defensively we were horrendous. So except for that game, it's actually been better than I thought. I've been really surprised. So we're trying to get it so that we can do more things. Like right now, we play pretty much a certain way all the time. So as you get into the tournament, you got to be able to do a couple different things because you don't know what you're going to see. Plus you want to do things a little bit differently than you're doing them during the regular season. So we're just trying to add some things, little tweaks to our defense that are going to take a couple weeks to completely fine-tune. So every day we've been focusing on that.
Is it harder to get the team to the point where it can make shots in big games because defense is more effort and positioning and stuff? Absolutely. That's why you try to recruit a lot of really good offensive players, because it's hard to teach offense. It's hard to teach, the ball to go in the basket. You can teach people to play good defense. You can't teach somebody to make shots. They either are going to make them or they're not going to make them. They either believe they're going to make them or they don't believe they're going to make them. That's why you have so many high school Americans that go to college and they stink, because they get to college and they realize they can't make any shots because all of a sudden everything's different. The defense is better. The intensity level's higher. The pressure's greater. So you really find out in college who can make shots and who can't. Who can make them under pressure and who can't. How do you know that? You don't. So, and sometimes you just need that one game. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that, in the USA game after the first quarter, we made a ton of shots. Sometimes you just need to get into a rhythm and, once you see them start falling, boom, they all start falling. I always say shooting is like hitting in baseball. How does a team go like 2 weeks without scoring more than 2 runs? They just do. They just do. It just happens. There's no explaining it. It's not like you're doing anything different in practice. All of a sudden you're doing, less than what you were doing before. It just happens. It just happens. That's all there is to it. It happens.
And you would think that Meg and Kristen are capable and will start making shots, right?
Well, if I didn't think they'd start making them, I would, cancel the rest of the season. But they're gonna make the ones that they're gonna make. That's the way I look at it. And at the same time, sometimes you just got to figure out a way to win some games when the ball ain't going in. That's easier said than done against a really good team, because they have to help you then. They have to miss some shots. So, a lot of dumb stuff that happened in that game where there's like, in any game, it doesn't matter what it is, there are possessions that if you win that possession, you actually can change the momentum of the game. And if you lose that possession, you don't take advantage of that possession, that moment, then your chances of getting to that point where you can win the game become slimmer and slimmer. And there was 4 or 5 of those glaring in that game. And that as bad as we played, we have a possession on offense where if we score, we're down 9 in the fourth quarter, and then we get stops and we can't get the rebound, we can't get the loose ball, it's like there's moments that happen, and we miss a shot to go down 9. It wouldn't be bad if they come down and miss and we get it back and come down here and score and go down 9. We miss to go down 9, they go down and make a 3. That changes the whole thing. Now it changes the whole thing. Like I said, it's a lot like baseball, man. Bases loaded, nobody out, next 3 guys strike out. You're down 2 runs. Next half inning, they get 2 singles and a 3-run homer and the game's over. Hey, where are we going to dinner? That's your response. Or, in the words of a famous coach, on to Tampa.
Any thoughts about Breanna Hartley going to go to the Olympics with the French team?
Yeah, that was really neat to see, because I remember having a conversation with Breanna, and she said, "Coach, I want USA Basketball to help me get my French passport, because once you've played for USA Basketball, you have to get released from that obligation." And she was able to do that, and I'm really, really, really happy for her. That's like the coolest thing, because it was like when Sveta made the Russian Olympic team. It's everybody's dream to play in the Olympics. So she had a lot of good things happen to her, right? Go to the Olympics with France, and now go play for these last couple of years. How's it get better than that?
Because sometimes, there have been players that have gone there. Maybe they took money or whatever, but, Breanna's situation is different in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah, because she actually has French ancestors. There's been instances where an American kid knows, I don't have a chance to make this team, so I'll just go, play on another team. And it didn't work out. You're absolutely right. It didn't work out. But France is pretty good to begin with, and they've been in the Olympics before, and we played them in the gold medal game. So they know. Was it gold medal or silver medal?
I thought it was gold. I don't remember.
In London. I think it was a gold medal game in London.
Australia was semis.
Yeah. And so they're pretty good already. And I'm glad for Breanna.
Kia Nurse will go again, second one.
Kia Nurse will go again. They ain't going up on our wall, but I got to find a place to put them, someplace here. Yeah, I got to put them in the foreign corner, or I got to put them. Yeah, I got to put them in the others. Like here's the Olympic gold medalists, and then here's the Olympic something. Here's the Olympic medalists.
Yeah.
Although they haven't gotten a medal.
Participants.
Counts for something.
Yeah, counts for something. So how many's that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 times when you look at them all. And then you got Sveta went once, I think, yeah. Australia.
Yeah.
This will be Kia's second, and Brea's first.
Does Rashida Sadiq count?
I don't think so.
She went.
Doesn't Kia Stokes have a passport somewhere else? I think she has a Turkish. I think she has a Turkish passport. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But there's just, like I said.
It's crazy, huh? Look at it. That's crazy. I got to find a place for those guys. That's right. The others, the other corner, the others, Olympic gold medals,
somewhere
and others.
below the All-Americans.
And every one of them has won a gold medal. None of them were on the team that lost last in '92. Yeah, they've all won a gold medal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, 18 gold medals. Is that about right? Since 1996? 18, right? 18 gold medals. It's pretty damn good. None of those guys are playing this weekend, though. They may be playing this weekend, but not in Tampa. I don't know. Whatever she thinks she needs to get out of it. She's very inquisitive. She's very curious. She's always asking me things about coaching. So, I think they go to those things, these kids, and they get to find out, hey, if you think coaching is just, going to practice and going, hey, do this, it's a lot more involved in that. And she's very curious, and I'll be anxious to see when she gets back what she learned from it.
Because I don't think you've had anyone go to it, have you?
I don't think so. No.
Not that I remember.
No, I turn people off to coaching on my when they're young. They end up being coached. But no, we haven't had anybody. No.
Did you, I think it probably happened in your practice, did you see the Katie Lou news?
Anna came and told me about it. You kind of saw that coming at some point, and I don't know if Coach Wade had that in mind when he first drafted her, but it turns out it's a great move for her, great move for Azare. There's some trades that work out really, really good for both people, and that was probably a pretty good move by, for Lou, because and it's fortuitous that Skylar decided to leave Dallas and go to Phoenix, so there is an opening in the backcourt somehow, some way. So yeah, it should be an interesting summer this summer.
At least Mariah got a contract.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. Hopefully Mariah will be healthy. She'll be 100%. Wait, that's Mariah, Enrique, and Lou?
Yeah.
Interesting. It's interesting. Interesting group. Interesting group. I think Bria hit the lottery, though.
She's got
Come on.
paid.
Living in Phoenix. She's getting paid. She got D. She got Brittany Griner, Skylar. See?
I always knew it was destined for all those Notre Dame guys and all those UConn guys to eventually become best buds. You know?
Go try and win a title together.
Go try to win one together. They can argue all they want, but
Stewie out in Seattle. He's got a
Stewie.
pretty good teammate,
And
too.
Morgan.
yeah. All this movement is good for the league because we talk about it with the players sometimes. Up to this point, the only way you can get better is through the draft, for the most part. And in order to get better through the draft, you have to sort of, kind of on purpose, not really tank it, and then get lucky. And that's not a good way to go. So the fact that players can actually move, I think makes the league better for everybody. Players, coaches, everybody. I think it's great. I'm excited for them. I can't wait to see it.